Okay, I thought I would do a quick video on how to get hybrid Phalaenopsis to rebloom, because I answer this question a lot when I'm repotting for my Orchid Society. So when most people think orchids, and they say, how do I get my orchid to rebloom? They think Phalaenopsis orchids, because Phalaenopsis orchids are the most common orchids sold at Meijer's or Trader Joe's or Home Depot or Lowe's. I know there are other kinds available, but this is the most common, and this is what people think of when they say, how do I get my orchid to rebloom? So first I'm going to go over some terms so that everyone knows what I'm talking about. So here we have what is a spike. This is a spike that the orchids come out on. This is a spike right here. So the stem coming out, that's a spike. Okay, on the spike you have the flowers, and they come out of a spot here on the stem that we call the node. And right over here on this one, where my thumb is, that is a bloomed node. So you can see that this is also a bloomed node right there. See if I can zoom in on this. So on a bloomed node, there used to be a flower there, and now it's gone. So if we go down below, then this right here, as you can see, there was no flower that's ever gone. This is an unbloomed node. So what I like to tell people is that after your flowers have fallen off, right, with these hybrid Phalaenopsis, what you can do is you can cut the stem about 1 inch below the first, or above, I'm sorry. So you want to cut below the first bloomed out node or above the first unbloomed node. So this is the unbloomed node, this is the bloomed node, and you want to cut like basically right between them. So right over here, I have a stem where I've done this. You can see it sort of died back. I cut it here, and then right here is the first unbloomed node. All right, so when you do that, and even if you don't do the cutting, so you can see right here, here's one where I didn't do the cutting. So this stem is all still alive, I bloomed it out, and then right here I have a new spike coming out. So here's the bloomed node right here, and then this was the first unbloomed node. I didn't cut it because the spike was still green. Actually, it's just called a lazy, but you can see there's a new spike coming out of there. Now if the spike all dies back, then you cut the whole thing down at the base, which would be right here. All right, so that's how I deal with bloomed out spikes if I want to get them to rebloom. But how do I get new spikes to come out? Well, the trick with commercial Phalaenopsis is they need a differential, a 10-degree difference between day and night. And at work, I accomplish this by sticking them up against my window. So I have a western exposure here, and this naturally means that by the window right here, it is cooler, or actually it's warmer during the day, so the sun shines on this western exposure, it gets warmer, and then at night it's cooler, and it just naturally creates a 10-degree difference. And so what I do at work is I have ranks of orchids. So I have what I call my first rank, right? I put them up here until they start to spike, and then I move the spiking orchids back once the spike is starting to form, and then I stake them to get them to be straight, because the spikes keep growing toward the light like this one is. So when people grow a Phalaenopsis and you've had it for several years and you're like, I can't ever get to bloom, it's almost always because it doesn't get that cooling period. And I almost always recommend for people then is that when it gets to be about fall, they take it and they stick it right up against the window, right? And it's going to get warm during the day, it's going to cool off at night, and after you give a Phalaenopsis about a month of that, it will naturally spike. So that is my how do you rebloom this orchid, Phalaenopsis orchid, because I just get that question a lot, and I thought sharing this knowledge would be helpful. So I hope that if you've listened to this video that you get lots of blooms in the future.